Welcome
to the Bring Me to Life podcast.
It's time to wake up
and shine on. Hello. Welcome to the Bring Me to Life podcast. We're grateful for you waking up and shining on with us. Shannon Shine here.
Selomon is in the house. Don't worry. We will be safe. We will be protected. And information will be shared.
Silo is signing on and excited for today's discussion.
I'm just trying to be more authentic.
Yeah, I feel like you're trying to cheer me up too because I just smashed my phone. So I'm trying to get more into the focus. Let's get in podcast zone, guys. We are here. We are ready. Today's discussion is authentic connections.
A good one. We were thinking about it, and it's like, we've done episodes on finding your tribe, finding your people, etc., etc. But, I feel like you can find a community. You can be part of it. You can be part of a tribe, whatever you want to call it. But still, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have authentic connections. I see it as, a connection with another person, another being, where even if you may disagree, you can still be your authentic self with each other.
Yeah, I think that's really important because, so many of us, when we go through these shifts into our spiritual awakening, or we just transform ourselves, even if we went through an awakening, we start to realize that some of our friendships or connections are just no longer serving us. And our last couple episodes, we talked about that kind of energy and going through relationship changes and even trying to connect with family when we're going through these transformations. All of that can be really, really hard. And honestly, the older we get, the harder it seems to be to connect with a lot of people on deeper levels. So it's really important to show up and get to know people and be as authentic as you can so that you can really find who it is you do want to vibe with.
Mm-hmm. Yes. In this novel that I'm writing, the main character, he's getting out of his comfort zone for the very first time because he's been locked in this monotonous job for most of his life. And he's been put into a box with his personality, with what he believes, all the stuff. So being authentic, connecting authentically with others takes a certain amount of getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I have a quote that I sometimes like to use that's get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's how you're going to break the barriers or the limitations, or, just you got to put yourself out there sometimes. You don't necessarily want to get comfortable being uncomfortable in relationships that no longer serve you, but it's important to, go out and meet new people. So often I hear people be like, how do you find your spiritual community? Or how do you find people that are into a lot of the same things? And it honestly requires going out to events, which has been a little bit harder with the COVID craziness, but there's so many things happening online still. And you need to be willing to show up in who you are and not being afraid of who you are, I think was a big thing for me. For a long time, I was surrounded by what felt like a lot of friends, but they didn't really know me and the things that I was interested in or the things that brought me joy. They knew me as somebody who would show up at parties with them, or that would give them rides places, or, just somebody that had always been there. I had a lot of friends all the way through high school and stuff, being in a small town. And as I started going into my more spiritual journey and started finding out who I really was and what made me tick, or what made me feel like I had purpose, didn't necessarily jive with the version of me they had in their minds. So I didn't feel like I could be authentic around them. And, I still have people that I don't always feel like myself around. And it's because I think they see me as the old version of me, and I'm still playing that character for them.
Yeah. Yes. I think a big key, like a big sign that you can have an authentic connection with somebody is they just hold space for you to express yourself without making you feel any kind of way, without making you feel any kind of negatively for saying anything. I've had conversations with people who maybe agreed with everything I said, and I could feel that they just weren't being authentic. But I've also had conversations with people who did not agree with me, but I could tell they were being authentic. And you can have an authentic connection with somebody you don't agree with everything. But like I said, I think to me personally, it's more about, feeling free to express yourself, feeling like you have that ability with whoever. I think that's an authentic connection, is if somebody who just allows you to be yourself and can still love you and appreciate you and be your friend and can still talk to you without trying to force you into another way of thinking.
Yeah, I think unconditional love is really important in friendships, even beyond just like intimate relationships. Like unconditional love means you're willing to show up for that person, even just in a friendship kind of way. Like, you have friends that say they'll always be there, but then when something happens, they don't always show up. And to me, that's not very authentic to tell someone, like, if you ever need anything, and then, I mean, yeah, things come up and you can't always be there for the person, but I've been ghosted by many of those people, especially when the harder things happen, like losing somebody or something, like that was one of the things that really amazed me about you. And I knew that you were super authentic, was when we first met, I was going through a really hard time, and you just said, like, I feel like you shouldn't be alone, and that you deserve to have like a good friend, and I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. And you didn't. And that was super authentic. And like, I didn't know you on a deeper level then, but I felt deeply that when you said that you meant it, because you could feel it in your energy and how important it was to you to kind of follow through with that kind of commitment. So I think that something else that's important too is just being willing to get to know people. That's something that I found, because, authentic connections also doesn't mean that you have to be friends with this person forever either. It means a connection. Like, you might meet this person once, but you still want to be authentic. I'm kind of thinking about like when I had my shop and people would walk in, and there's shopkeepers that are just like, hi, how you doing? I'll help you with anything. And they don't actually mean it. They just kind of go through that like repetitive cycle. But then there were days that I really felt into my authenticity, and I wanted to get to know people, and I would have genuine conversations with like everybody who walked through the door. And they said that part of the reason they purchased things or they came back to the shop was because they felt like they had an authentic connection with me, and I was generally excited to just discuss things with them. I love talking to people and getting to know their stories, and sometimes it's even stories that I don't want to hear. I'm just such like in it that I feel like that's part of my authenticity, is because I would want somebody to listen to my stories, and oftentimes, strangers do. You're here listening now. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. I don't think all of you are strangers, but appreciate everybody who is tuned in right now. What would you say for somebody who is looking for an authentic connection? How do they go about that? Is it something that they look for, they go out and try to find? Is it something that they just allow to come to them?
First, be yourself. Figure out who you are. What does that mean? Like, what does it mean to you to be authentic? If you don't know who you are, it's hard to go and find other people and see them for who they are, because you're maybe lost trying to find yourself. I know that from experience growing up. We kind of talked about this in a recent podcast, where sometimes you would become friends with a certain group of friends, or like you would start dating somebody and you start to like shift into their interests and things, and you lose your sense of authentic self. So if my first tip is to figure out who you are, what brings you actual joy, and what are some things you're generally interested in. And then, if possible, put yourself out there. Go to events that are involved with those things. You're somebody who really likes crystals, go to like a rock and gem collectors group and meet some other people who really love crystals. You're somebody who really likes to talk and tell stories, go to a sharing circle or like a support group for something if you need support, and like share your story and hold space for other people to share stories, and maybe meet somebody that's going through a similar situation so you can vibe with them and have an authentic discussion with somebody who can empathetically feel what's up, because sometimes you want to have an authentic conversation with people, but nobody's been through the same things as you. And just finding one person that can be on that vibe and get real with you is super helpful. So I guess just putting yourself out there and knowing who you are and not being afraid to be yourself. And you don't also have to find people that are into the same exact things, but by being you and by being willing to just unconditionally show up in who you are and not shift exactly who you are for everybody, then it gives you the ability to be authentic yourself. And by you being the best version of you or the most authentic version of you, you give other people the permission to do so, which instantly creates more authentic connections. Because, you know, if you're willing to be silly or maybe just wear something out of the norm because you think it's awesome, then you're inspiring somebody else to open up and be a little silly or to feel more comfortable in their own skin. So you being the most authentic version of you is going to attract more people that way.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree. I've heard and learned and witnessed this in my own life, and what you put out there, you know, you are attracting to yourself. I think no matter what you do, somebody out there will hate it. Somebody out there will love it. So why would you want to try to appeal to people who are not in vibe with who you are authentically, trying to avoid being hated on or whatever? It's not doing anyone any good, because, you know, that's just life. That's, people have different perspectives and opinions and preferences. So just be your authentic self. Somebody will love it. Others may not, but that's okay.
You know, there's always going to be some haters out there. There's always going to be people who don't necessarily want to see you on top, because there's some people out there that think that there's not enough universe to go around and to give everybody what they want. So they have this jealousy thing. And usually if somebody's hating on you, it's because you're reflecting something that they wish they had, or they wish they understood, or they just aren't understanding you on your authentic level. And it's not saying that they're not on your level. We had this talk last time. It's not like you're putting yourself on a pedestal. It's just they're on a different vibration. They're on a different frequency, and that's okay. We had a question from someone listening that says, how do you know when somebody else is being authentic with you? And I think that's a great question. And I think, speaking on that vibration, you can feel when a person is being authentic. It's almost like when you can feel like a certain person's lying or they're not showing up, or you can feel if a person's sad. Usually somebody's sad because they're not able to express what's on their mind or what they're going through, and they feel like they can't be authentic in that moment because maybe it'll make other people sad. So it's a feeling, for me at least. I feel it, and I've had this happen with certain friends and people I interacted with pretty regularly, where they'd be super authentic, you'd be super vibing with them for months, maybe years, and then something would shift and it felt like they weren't being real anymore, or it felt like they were like a completely different person. And, you know, we all go through transitions. We all go through like different parts of our life. And maybe you need to give those people a couple months or even years until they figure out who they are again. And you can feel that authentic alignment again. Mm-hmm. There's something about feeling in alignment with a person's energy and knowing whether it's real or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are like more subtle signs. I think physically, you can, I think for me, I can see it in people's eyes if they are being authentic or if they're being truthful, you know, along with the feeling. A lot of times, if they're being inauthentic, they'll keep looking away while they're talking. Whereas if they're being more authentic, they're more willing to look you in the eye. and to have that soul to soul connection.
I feel that. I do want to say that the eye contact thing is interesting for me. So I thought that it was just me, but I'm actually learning that it's something about people that are also considered on the spectrum, like the autism spectrum, as well as some other different personality situations where eye contact is super hard for some of us. For me, I have a hard time making eye contact with a lot of people when I'm talking to them. And I've actually had people say, like, why do you look away when you're talking to me? And I don't necessarily feel like it's when I'm not being authentic, because for me, I'm seeing like angels and timelines and all of these other things in my mind. And it's almost like there's so much happening that looking into someone's eyes sometimes is very energetically draining for me. Because I have so many other sensory things going on. So I find that interesting. But I do think that there's something about mannerisms and energy. But I'm learning things about eye contact.
I'm for my entire life, I've just been the type of person who, will just look somebody square in the eye and won't get uncomfortable. Or even if I am uncomfortable, I find out a lot about people through looking at them in their eyes. But I guess, from what you say, some people, even if they are being authentic, maybe they'll look away because of what's going on. And I guess that's where the more subtle
energy
triggers, more subtle. There's a word that is like blah, 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 blah.
Man, don't you love when you can't think of words on the spot on podcasts? That happens to me all the time.
Yeah, it's like a word that's like revealing. It like reveals. So there's mannerisms that you can learn that will reveal. There used to be a show a long time ago where the dude he would watch people's mannerisms to tell if they were lying or not. And I guess there are some that are kind of scientific. I don't really know off the top of my head. I know certain directions that people look in was one of the things. So
that's interesting. I would love to know what this person thinks about me, because I look to the left when I'm talking to Archangel Michael, I look to the right when I'm talking to Archangel Raphael, and I feel like people probably now think I'm not being authentic, but I'm just having conversations with angels in my head.
Do you have a physical, I guess tell was what I was looking for.
Like poker?
Do you have a physical tell that you can observe from somebody and realize they're not being authentic? Or is it only subtle for you?
I guess I just feel like energy pulling away. And I'm thinking like from different friendships and stuff I've had where it was like I could feel they were authentic, we were vibing, we were hanging out a lot, and then something shifted and like our personalities connected differently, and it was like an energetic feeling. I mean, I guess I look at people's mannerisms too, but because I have such weird eye contact and talk with my hands a lot and different things like that, it's a little different for me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, figure out ways, because I know not everybody out there is as tuned in to subtle energy and auras as you are. So that's why I was talking about the eyes, but, I guess that can't really, from what you're saying, can't really, be something that people could go off of, especially for people like you who have a hard time looking people in the eye when they're talking.
It's just an example of how everybody's different. Part of the reason we do this podcast together is to show different authentic situations of our personal experiences. And even us as a duo have very different experiences. So I can see where it would be hard for people to feel into authentic connections. But basically...
What about for you? What about people? Have you noticed anybody being inauthentic, realizing that they act differently with you than with other people?
Definitely. I noticed that more in like relationships, almost like more intimate relationships, where I would be kind of with somebody or flirting with somebody, or even like texting or talking to them kind of beforehand, and then go to an event and that person is like completely different when there's a whole group of people around. Or it's just like they act like they don't know you, or they act like their personality is just completely different. Like maybe you and that person have like an inside joke or like something that was funny to both of you, but when there's a whole group of people around, they act like that's not even of interest to them. You know, like when you're a kid or something and you're like, man, I really love this show, and your best friend's like, yeah, I really love this show, but that show's not necessarily cool, and the cool kids are around, and that person's like, you like that show? And it's like, well, you're not being authentic, because I know you secretly love it too, and we were just watching it. Like, you know, there's those kind of friends that you can just tell want to fit in so hard that they'll shift their discussion or their energy or their personality depending on who's around, so that whoever's the most important in that moment will like them, and that's not authentic at all.
I think it's kind of a lot of us just want to fit in, and we'll do what we think will help us fit in, and it can be very uncomfortable to be your own self. You know, when I was a kid, I followed the beat of my own drum, wore my own style, wore my own clothes, but also got called a lot of names, got a lot of negativity aimed at me just because I was so much more different than everybody else at school. So it does take some level of courage and tenacity and what's that word?
Resilience.
Yeah, resilience.
That's one of my favorite words.
To be authentic. And somebody asked, are there different levels of authenticity?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking on that as we were talking about how to tell if a person's being authentic, because, you know, maybe the person doesn't want to share their most intimate details with you either, and it's not necessarily that they're not being intimate or they're not being authentic. It's more that they're shy or they don't feel comfortable and safe. So I guess another way to make authentic connections is to be a safe space. Like, let people know that they can talk to you, and that and mean that authentically, like mean that sincerely, that if you want to have authentic connections with people, be a safe zone. I feel like that's how I've made a lot of my closer friendships, is by being the safe space that they know they can tell me whatever. They can show up, you know, in their PJs or whatever, and I'm not going to judge them if they're going through a hard time. Like, I want people to feel safe in themselves around me.
I love those SpongeBob SquarePants pants. SpongeBob SquarePants pants?
What are you talking about?
You were talking about people in their pajamas.
Oh, do one of us have SpongeBob pants?
No.
Like,
There's a lot of them out there that I've seen.
So random. I'm like, what are you talking about? Okay. But yeah, like, show your true colors, and like be willing to let other people show their true colors too. And if you tell someone that you're a safe zone, then that means you can't really like judge them if they tell you something that you don't necessarily jive with. You kind of have to unconditionally like work through it with them or hold space for it with them.
Yeah. I was about to say that I feel like I'm all authentic. Like, I'm all in on authenticity. But then I thought about it, and I was like, maybe not, because, you know, it takes me a while to warm up to people sometimes, especially if I'm being really shy like I can be. And I went out on some trips where people told me, you know, I didn't know about you at first. I thought you were, you know, really weird, and I didn't think you were very cool. But the more I get to know you, the more cool you are. And it was because I was being more and more authentic. You know, it takes me a while, especially in situations where I don't know people. It takes me a while to warm up and to start talking and to start showing off my personality and all those things. So I guess those are different levels of authenticity.
Yeah, it comes from like how safe you feel with a person and how much you're willing to connect with them and share with them. Because like, I'm thinking of it from a spiritual perspective too. Like, authenticity for me, what it means is showing up in your true colors and like what makes you you. But, you know, I'm also not, I guess I am more now, but a couple years ago, I wasn't walking down the street like, hey, I channel. I like to talk to people that have transitioned, and I use crystals like medicine for myself, like energetic medicine, obviously not like all
What?
kinds,
You don't eat quartz crystals? Don't do that.
Don't do it. People do put certain crystals in their water, though. I used to make quartz water.
Yeah. I've seen that a lot in We haven't done that in a really long time, but
No, I used to keep a quartz in or near my water bottle.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
be careful with that, everybody. If you try that, you be careful.
Yeah, do those things at your own risk. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, I might not walk down the street saying those kind of things, but I'm willing to have a conversation with somebody where if I feel, here I am again with my feelings, when I feel like somebody wants to have a deeper conversation, or maybe they haven't got to like open up a certain spiritual discussion or even a personal discussion, like be willing to hold that space. I do it a lot when people have somebody that's passed over and they want to have a authentic discussion. They're so sick of hearing the "I'm sorry's. If you need anything, just hit me up," or "How can I help?" or "I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry about your loss." And it's like, I'm going to be real with you and know that, and just say like, I understand that saying sorry is not really going to serve you right now. And if you want to talk spiritually, if you want to talk about what you miss about that person, or maybe you want to talk about like what you feel like has happened to that person in the afterlife and stuff, like that's like having an authentic connection rather than just saying, "Oh, I'm sorry that happened," and like not really even like feeling into what that person's going through. If there's somebody in your circle or somebody you want to have an authentic connection with. That's just like a random example that kind of channeled through me, because it's something I've experienced a lot, where people are just like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and like I thought maybe they would care more and like want to talk about something with me, so that I didn't feel so alone, you know?
Yeah, well, I think, that's really heavy. That's really heavy stuff to take on, and when you talk to people like that, you kind of take that on yourself. So I think some people, if they don't want to get into that, maybe it's because they just don't have a lot of energy at that point. But sometimes, we take on other people's stuff. We need to take a break. We can go and get some self-care, get some alone time.
Oh, totally.
So that, we can reconnect with our authentic selves. We can reconnect with who we are. We can let go of what other people are holding on to and what we've taken on from them. We can let all that go. And then come back refreshed, come back being able to hold more space and being more authentic. So, I want to see if you have any other comments for this episode before we get into our energy updates.
I was just checking to see if there are any more questions in the comments. If you guys are listening and you didn't know, when we do these live, you can actually go to bringmetolife.com/podcast and check out our live chat and send us questions. And so you can conversate with us on these topics or give us ideas for discussions you actually want to hear us talk about.
Yeah, it's nice to get the interaction, and soon I think we'll be going live in multiple ways as we get our new technology all built up.
We're hoping to get a new computer. You guys can help us make that happen. You can check out the jewelry or the CDs or any of our course or soul session offerings at bringmetolife.com. I just added some of my soul session information there if you guys are looking to connect on a deeper level. You guys want to get more authentic? You want to talk about some authentic spiritual things? I'm here for it. I guess one of the last things I really want to say before we get into the energy reading is that it's important to show your true colors. You want to meet authentic people, you want to have authentic connections, show your true colors. Show up for a person. Be willing to go all in. Put your boundaries up in a way that you can still show up and be there, but protect yourself. And honestly, just kind of meditate on the feelings you want from those relationships. And I say meditate, but mainly just like think about, like, you don't have to sit still and specifically meditate, though that's super helpful.
Contemplate.
Yeah, contemplate, think, imagine. I've been listening to another podcast lately, and the guy really likes to talk about imagination and how it's important to imagine. If you're over the terms manifest or over the terms visualize, because they've been kind of way overused recently in the spiritual community, then just use your imagination. Everybody has imagination. Imagine yourself having amazing friends, family, community members that want to get to know you, and that you're excited to get to know, and that you feel connected to them in a way that doesn't feel draining, but instead is inspiring, and feel into what the best, most authentic version of you is, so that you can live a life that inspires others just by being the coolest version of you. Why wouldn't you want to hang out with people that see you and honor you for the coolest version of you?
Right. There's always going to be people out there who support you, your authentic self. And you're only going to find them by being that authentic person.
Totally. You just have to show up. You have to be willing to show who you are and not be afraid to come out of whatever closet you're hiding in. Maybe you have some sort of closet.
Come out of that closet.
Whether it's spiritual closet, the love closet, the afraid to be yourself because you think people think you're weird closet. You know, we're all a little weird. It's the time of getting weird.
Yes. I'd like to come out of the closet and say, I feel great.
I never know what you're going to whip out of your conversation sometimes, and I get real nervous. I'm like, what we're doing? We're live here.
On air.
Sela's getting real, authentic. That's why we do these live, too, because it feels more true and just fun and exciting. So
yes.
This has been such an interesting episode.
Yeah, so we're going to take a little break here for a minute, and then we'll come back with some energy updates.
While we're taking this break, use your imagination to call in those authentic connections. All right, we're back, and I have a card reading for you. I'm using the Secret Language of Light deck, which is a deck that many of you have told me you really enjoyed lately. If you want to see it or check it out for yourself, hit me up. Let's get you a personal card reading. But right now, I'm doing a collective card reading, and it is cracking me up. So I shuffled the cards, I pulled some, and the first card I pulled out, I kid you not, guys, is the Authentic Truth card. I think that's great because we just talked about authenticity for however long that was. And this card, I'm going to just read it because it's so powerful. And my spirit guides are like, just read this message from the book right now. It says, discover your truth and let others find theirs. The truth will set you free. So as long as you recognize that there's more than one truth and that the answers you seek will exist beyond the beliefs you hold now, it's okay. Know that there are many truths in this world and you don't have to believe them all. Just focus on what that resonates within you. If you must convince yourself of your beliefs, they are not your truth. Your truth will always fulfill and satisfy within you. It is unconditional, meaning conditions don't have to change for you to live and feel your truth. There is no right or wrong, but there is a cause and effect or action and reaction. What's important here for authentic truth is to master yourself first and not someone else's processes. When you change your beliefs, your life changes to match it. And to do this, you must be aware of how you feel and practice focusing on what makes your heart sing and not shrink. When you align with your truth, you will flow. So feel excited and believe an authentic life is possible. If it is not your truth, you will resist it. You will find it hard to commit and feel indecisive. Some other inspired reflections of this card are to be aware of your feelings and notice how it feels to be angry, loving, or hurt towards yourself or others. As you move through your day, notice what gives you a glow of happiness. Do things that feel truthful. If there is something you don't want to do, you must do it, and you must do it. Find a way to connect it to your truth and find a way that doesn't feel like a compromise. So if you're not okay with the compromise, it may breed resentment and become a poison to you. So to me, that card speaks a lot about what we just talked about and how it's really important to show up in your truth and to not let others' energy kind of affect that. And, again, like they don't have to be into everything you are to have an authentic connection. Like find something to connect on that doesn't feel like a compromise. And you asked earlier about how I feel if someone's being authentic other than just subtle things, but it says that you'll feel kind of a resistance to wanting to be around that person if you're not authentically vibing with them. Like, yeah, maybe you're not always authentic with like your coworkers or something, and you still have to go is kind of what it was saying at the end. But find a way to do things without feeling like it's going to poison you. So the next card out of this reading is manifestation. Manifestation. And it says that you will attract what you give your focus to. You are about to experience something you have longed for, and you may not see any evidence of it yet, but don't be disheartened. Instead, be still and align with your soul. Soon you will be inspired to take a step forward where you will meet your dreams and desires, and you will fall in love with the unknown, and the path of the known will then materialize. You create your life through how you feel and what you think. And when you change your beliefs, again, your life changes to match it. That's what the last card said. First, you must be aware of how you feel in the present. Practice focusing on what makes your heart sing and not shrink. That's what the last card said too. There must be something about that feeling. The time just before manifestation is an opportunity to change any story from your past, present, or future. Your perception is altering so you can see it in a new light. You can create new connections. And everything is created twice. First, in the vibrational realm, it perceived in your imagination, your feelings or dreams. And then again, when it comes into the physical world as a manifested object or experience. The important thing here is to enjoy the journey in all that you are manifesting and creating. And your desires will then arrive sooner. This is the nature of creation. Let all your manifestations be what they are and focus on the ones that you are drawn to. This is a vibrational match to something active in your current beliefs and ideas. Tune in to what makes you feel authentic. Take notice of the vibe and replicate it as much as you can each day. And when you find that beauty in your current space, your energy will then rise in harmony. Train yourself to know and believe that the law of attraction is possible, and each day for a week set an intention to see something inconsequential like a feather, a rainbow, some water, or a specific sign, and have no attachment to it. Don't hound yourself if you don't see it. Again, have no attachment to the outcome. If you hold no resistance, then it will have an easier time manifesting. It's the same principle for small or big manifestations. Pretty powerful card. I like that it said authentic in its little description here. And then the last card for this reading is alignment. A covenant of mind, body, and spirit. Your soul is your biggest fan. It knows the truth of you and loves you unconditionally, and it is continuously streaming this information to you. To tune into your mind, body, and spirit, they must all agree in the now. Do this by meditating, focusing on your soul name, and enjoying something you love. Or, if none of that resonates, you can also take a nap. It is not up to you and your soul. It is not up to your soul to zap you into alignment. Sorry about that. Its job is instead to maintain your soul station so that you have a frequency to tune into. The nature of physical life is to create and expand. Sometimes life experiences will pull you out of alignment so that you can understand these experiences from a different angle. When you are out of alignment, you will automatically ask questions and want to create something different. Through this process, you gain clarity about your passions. Being out of alignment can feel awful. It is easy to blame a person or a situation when we feel bad, but instead of asking why something is happening, take a breath. Return to the neutral and ask what you can create from this situation. And remember that your soul is a consistent, loving home that you can return to always. Enlightenment or alignment is when your thoughts, words, and actions are all in harmony. It's important to practice unconditional love, and if you notice someone is out of alignment, check that you are in alignment. Then send healing light from your heart to theirs and let go of the outcome. If you feel out of alignment, take a moment to realign and connect with your truest self in the best way you know how. You may have to take a break in a conversation to do this. And it's found most comfortable way is to tell others that maybe, you just have to go to the potty. Something else that is important is to show others the shift in you and lead by example. So if you have to excuse yourself from a friendship, a relationship, or even a discussion in that moment, come back and lead by example by being the most authentic version of you so that you can hold space for authentic connections. So, loving this deck. Super powerful. I love how it's always got a message right in alignment with what we're talking about. That was crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad that it works out that way.
I love it.
Thank you for that. Moving on now to the solar flare updates. We have a solar wind speed of 367.2 kilometers per second right now, which is about average. Our KP index is at a 1, which is the geomagnetic conditions. It's pretty low. I think the highest that it could get, or like extreme, would be a 9. So we're at a 1, which is pretty calm. We haven't had many solar flares in September. We had 2 baby ones so far on the 3rd and on the 8th, but so far it's still pretty slow. There was a panel recently by NASA and NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And they did a panel, which the people on the panel said that we are now in a new solar cycle, which would be solar cycle 25. Solar cycle 24 was about 11 years, which is around average. It was the 4th smallest intensity since we began recording this in 1755. Also, it was the weakest cycle that we've had in the last 100 years. So we're getting out of solar minimum now. They say we're entering solar cycle 25. They anticipate that in 2025 we'll be at solar maximum. So the cycles go, the activity of the sun ramps up a little bit. It has a maximum, and then it goes down to a minimum. And then as it goes back up to a maximum, that's when a new cycle begins. And they take around 11 years to do it. So we're in a new one this year. And they expect it to be about 5 years until we get into maximum again. So right now we're still in a little minimum. It's been 8 months, though, straight, that it's slowly picked up. So things are moving up. I know in 2012 it was a huge solar activity. A lot of solar flares every day. X-class solar flares. All kinds of stuff are happening. And will we see that in 2025? I guess we'll find out.
That's some interesting stuff happening with the sun right now. We also have some things happening with the moon.
Oh, yeah?
So this week we also have a new moon, the new moon in Virgo, I believe. And this season's energy is supposed to help us transition out of the summer vibes and into the autumn months. And it's the perfect opportunity to get really serious about plans and to clean up any kind of loose ends. Basically, it says it's like about cleaning up your act as you move into the last quarter of the year so that you can really get focused. And I feel like I've been feeling into that. I've had my journal out. I've been organizing some programs I'm excited to work on. So definitely stay tuned. I would love to hear what you guys are getting excited about, getting organized with. What are your new moon?
Fall time is here.
New moon intentions. Some other new news. We have a Sarah Hall show coming up on the new moon.
Yeah.
And she also...
Thursday.
Yep, this Thursday. So, new moon show with Sarah Hall, who also does energy forecasts on her YouTube. So, if you want some more information about the Virgo new moon, go check out Sarah Hall. And you can also check out our friend BP, BP_online on Instagram. She does some awesome energy updates and astrology things. We're going to be working with BP more in the very near future.
She's great.
Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than I wanted to let you guys know it's happening and that you should feel into those new moon vibes. We do have some new episodes of all kinds of podcasts at bringmetolife.com. We got Incense and Whiskey. We got Shamanic Living. We have Tune In and Find the Others. We have Through the Eyes of the Angels. It's not released on Bring Me to Life, but if you guys are missing Golden Guyan Adventure, our friend Breezy just added some new episodes to her Patreon. So that's what Golden Guyan's up to right now. She's going through a transformation of herself. Shout out Breezy. We hope you're doing great. And yeah, we're looking to expand the network. We got some articles by our friend Mooney. New articles are out there on bringmetolife.com with the number 2.
Thanks, Mooney, for the art. I read one yesterday morning when I woke up. It was early in the morning, and I had to read with one eye because the sun was starting to come up, and it was so bright that my only one eye could open.
You're hilarious. But was it a good article?
It was a great article.
Yeah. She's been doing some really great writing. I've really enjoyed it. And she's got a couple more articles coming out this week. We may get to see some of her creative writing. So that's exciting. I just love expanding the team, and we would love to see some more articles come out.
Yeah.
If you were interested in doing some sort of spiritual podcasting or just like something to help people wake up, shine on, feel inspired, goes along with our core values. What are our core values, CeeLo?
Peace, love, equality, unity, and community, I guess.
Yep, I added community because I think community is important.
Always says community.
It's a great pillar. I think it's a great pillar. So yeah, we would love to hear from you, and yeah.
Do we have a meditation? Did you want to do a meditation?
We can.
You want to end it?
We can end it out with a quick meditation.
Okay. You can do it?
I can.
All right, I'm going to play some music.
Ooh, he's got music for me too.
Here we go.
This is great. All right, everybody, get comfortable. If you're driving, focus on the road. If you're somewhere you can be safe, cozy, close your eyes. Take a nice deep breath in and out. And I want you to take this moment to feel into your most authentic self right now. What does it mean to you to be authentically you? How do you show up in the world? Do you feel like you have friends or connections that really know who you are? Do you feel like you take time to really get to know who other people are? If you're trying to draw more authentic connections to you, take this moment. We're going to take 3 nice breaths together. And with each breath in, we're going to draw in authentic, true connections. And we're going to release, breathe out anything that no longer serves you, anything holding you back, any versions of you that aren't really helping you any longer. Breathing in that love, breathing in that authenticity, and out fear of any sort of expectation or misunderstanding. And just really feel into, what do you want to feel when you connect with people? Do you want to feel seen, heard, and witnessed? What else do you want to feel? How can you show up for others in that same way? remembering that what you put out is what you receive. Visualize that feeling of connection. Imagine it. I like to place my hands on my heart and really feel it into that heart space. And when you're ready, take one more big inhale. Exhale, and you can open your eyes and join us back here. And I would love for you to leave us some feedback. Leave us a comment. How did that make you feel?
Thank you, Shannon. I am so proud of the meditation teacher you've become.
You've helped me a lot. You've been a great inspiration. You know, I never had anyone willing to authentically sit down and meditate with me until you got here. So thanks for being you and not thinking it was weird.
Shannon, from when I first got here, went from I don't like meditating and I don't want to do it to I love meditation and I want to teach it.
Yeah. And I'll do it on my own sometimes. Like, I never thought I'd be somebody that would be like, hey, I'm going to take 10 minutes and just sit here. Okay. I used to think it was such a waste of my day and that I had such limited time. And you know what? It's totally changed my life. Totally different world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be for very long. We only did it for what, like 3-4 minutes? That was great.
A few minutes. And it actually goes by pretty quick. So, all right. Well,
Totally.
thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And thanks for waking up.
And shining on.
For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of it, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Thanks for shining on with us.